Hello and welcome to Cheating Exposed. Today's story is me 29 male GF 27 female wanted to open the relationship. I said no, she decided to open it anyway. Hi everyone, I'm using this subreddit for the first time after stumbling upon it when I found out my GF of 9 years cheated on me. I'm not really looking for any advice on how to get the relationship back, as I am fully aware that the ship has sailed. Still, I find it very therapeutic to write about the experience, and I appreciate any support offered on how to move on. Note that this entire ordeal happened about a month ago, so the wound is still relatively fresh. I guess the one issue that I am consistently struggling with is the infidelity itself, having put my guard down and being betrayed by the person I loved. It truly changed something in me. I have a hard time coping with the betrayal and the fact that she went back to her lover, more on that later. Let me start from the beginning, as I think it makes sense to add context here. My now ex-girlfriend and I had been together for 9 years, coming up to our 10th anniversary. We met in high school and started seeing each other romantically during university. We were essentially each other's firsts. During this entire time, our lives were bliss, but we had an issue of being in a long-distance relationship as we both went to universities in different parts of the country. Nevertheless, distance was never an issue, and we made every effort to see each other as often as possible. Fast forward to about 8 years into our relationship, and we were finally able to live together in the same city. We moved in together. I was overjoyed, and while there were some minor hiccups during the first few months, everything worked out. Throughout our entire relationship, though, I had always received comments from close friends and family that they felt the relationship was unbalanced. The issue they highlighted was that I was always the one giving 110%, while she was just going along for the ride. I was the primary breadwinner. I cooked, I cleaned, and basically ran the entire household. Truth be told, I never did mind being the pillar she could rely on, as it fulfilled me. She came from a relatively broken home, where her parents had divorced at an early age, and both were desperately trying to find love without much success. To put matters into perspective, her mother was always a tad jealous of her daughter, given how well I was treating her. In her eyes, I had some ulterior motive, but I digress. About 1.5 years ago, my girlfriend suddenly confronted me out of the blue during a car ride to a bowling game. She said she felt sexually unhappy, and before settling for marriage, she wanted to try out new experiences by opening the relationship. That statement hit me like an absolute truck. She managed to dismantle my masculinity and put our entire relationship into question, all in a span of 5 minutes. In hindsight, my reaction was definitely too aggressive. I was shocked, hurt, and confused, so I raised my voice and was on the verge of tears, asking her what more I should be doing in this relationship. Mind you, I was putting in a ton of effort into exploring our sexual lives. I read books, tried new things, and was always looking to spice things up. But, like in the household, I was doing most of the work, while she basically sat back and waited to be satisfied. We ended the conversation in the car with an agreement that we would not open the relationship, and that we would both try our best to figure out how to work through this problem. We had sex more often and tried out new things, but this conversation came up again in passing about half a year ago. Again, minimal effort in bringing up this topic, and no consideration to my feelings whatsoever. I told her outright that if she felt so strongly about this topic, which I can totally reconcile, we should have a clean breakup and simply reconnect sometime down the line. But there would be a risk of us developing feelings for new people. The idea that I would be giving myself to someone new shattered her, and the discussion ended there. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, we clearly have this issue, but we are working through it. Every other part of the relationship is working incredibly well, and if we put our minds to it, we'll also manage this problem. Fast forward to about 1.5 months ago. My girlfriend decided to go with a friend of hers to Monaco. And while I always fully trusted my girlfriend, her going on a girls' trip with this particular girl didn't sit right with me. This friend of hers is a sex worker, and I want to be fully clear that I am not judging her for her line of work. Still, she has demonstrated to me on numerous occasions that her views on relationships, as a result of her profession, were completely unaligned with mine. Nevertheless, I trusted that my girlfriend and I were on the same page, so I had nothing to worry about. The trip ends, and she comes back home super happy and wanting to plan our next vacation to Monaco. Again, nothing out of the ordinary yet. A week later, I head on a one-night business trip and get a call from my girlfriend as I arrive at the hotel. She starts off the conversation by saying that our discussions about the open relationship never faded away, and that while in Monaco, she met a person that she wanted to go out for drinks with, just as a flirt. I am shocked and completely taken aback, but I find the strength to gather myself. I tell her that I understand her urges, and that I can be the bigger man and approve of her going to drinks, but that there would be absolutely no intimacy. She promised me that nothing would happen and that we would end the discussion. Of course, I can't sleep all night. I see her going on and off WhatsApp at 3 in the morning, so I try calling her to no avail. I somehow fell asleep for a few hours and woke up the next day, desperately trying to contact her. Eventually, she picked up, and I told her that she needed to come clean. I'd had a bad feeling all night, and she owed me an answer. What she said next completely broke me. She said she slept with him, but that it meant absolutely nothing, and that we should talk about it when I got back home. I broke up with her in that instant. I fly back home and sleep on the couch to gather my strength to discuss the matter in the morning. In my mind, I knew that there was no going back, but that I needed to confront her one last time. I had a complete emotional breakdown. When I say I was crying, I mean really crying, a real guttural cry that I had never done before. She didn't shed a single tear, but was incredibly remorseful. Side note, she always had a very hard time expressing her emotions. I told her that I was going to fly to my parents and that she would need to move out. For the next weeks, she sends me incredibly long and heartfelt messages of encouragement. She engaged her mother to try and reconcile the situation and promised never to see that man again. During this entire time, I told her that all of this is too little too late. That I can't trust her and that I want to move on. But that there might be time for reconciliation somewhere down the line if she promised me to work on herself in the meantime, which included not seeing this man again. Fast forward to today. I head back to our flat, as she has since moved out. I started crying, remembering the ghosts of the past. All our memories that we made together in this home of ours seem like a lie. And while I need to face the music, it still hurts to forget the past. Here is where things take an even darker turn. As I arrived at the flat, a good friend of mine calls me and tells me that he had heard my girlfriend went back to seeing the guy that she cheated on me with. And that this was going on pretty much ever since we broke up. Although I could stomach coming back to the flat, the news of her returning to him completely floored me. After claiming that she wanted to rebuild the relationship and was incredibly remorseful for what she had done, she decided to do a 180 on her word. After cleaning up the flat a bit, I opened the laptop that we both shared. I found that she had not logged out of her account, and as if the universe wanted to tell me something, her WhatsApp had opened to the chat she was having with this person. The rumors were immediately confirmed. I didn't snoop long because I knew of the harm I was causing to myself, so I deleted her entire account off the laptop after a few minutes. All this happened just 2 hours ago, and I'm trying to get this knot out of my stomach by simply writing about it and talking to friends and family. I was able to move on while I was staying with my parents, but this new information feels like I've been dropped yet again into the deep end. My stomach is constantly turning, knowing that she gave herself fully to this person she knew for only a few weeks. And that she went back to him for more while throwing everything we built together right out the window. Sorry for the long write-up, but I really needed to get everything off my chest. How do people who were betrayed move on with the knowledge that the person you had built a life with decided to move on with their lover? The feeling of inadequacy is overwhelming. And although I always considered myself to be a confident person, this life event has changed me completely. How do I regain my sense of self? Any help is truly, truly appreciated. Before deleting her number and blocking her everywhere, I confronted her via WA about me knowing everything that happened post-breakup. Again, I am fully aware that we broke up, but over the past weeks I was under the assumption she would try to make amends by showing some growth in her character. Wishful thinking, I know. Like a deer in the headlights, she started denying things. But I had conclusive evidence that she had no intention of fixing her mistakes. Eventually, she fessed up, but went on an odd rant about how there were things that weren't working in the relationship. I assume she is referring to the sex, but I find this odd attempt at gaslighting me to be quite humorous. The psychological profile of her undoing is slowly starting to crystallize in my mind. This man she has been seeing is nearly twice her age and could easily be her father. Who, by the way, was barely in the picture and only showed affection by sending her money. I'm no therapist, but it almost seems as though she never came to terms with the fact that she didn't have a father figure growing up and is now trying to find a substitute in this old, quite frankly repulsive, man. I've been hearing from close friends that my ex has been trying to find out how I figured out she went back to her 48-year-old lover. She still doesn't know she forgot to log out of her WhatsApp. She's been denying everything about seeing him and is clearly embarrassed by her actions. I mean, I get it, I'd be embarrassed too if I spent weeks trying to maintain a picture of innocence around friends and family, only to end up looking like a quasi-sex worker. It's clear she's now trying to use the conversations I've had with friends and family to spin the story, painting me as the bad guy spreading rumors. Just to be clear, I've only talked to people close to me about her relapse as a way to cope. Not to shame her. If that information spreads, that's not really my concern. And if things do start shifting against me, I'll just say it plainly, I saw everything on WhatsApp. I didn't take screenshots for my own sanity, but my word should hold more weight than that of someone who cheated. Yesterday, I had my first real 8-hour sleep. And honestly, I feel great. Thanks to everyone who commented or messaged me with support. It really helped. At this point, it's 100% clear I want nothing to do with her again. What started off as pain and anger has turned into strength. I don't hate her anymore. I pity her. From the emotional abandonment in her childhood, to crappy exes, to self-esteem issues, it's obvious she was heading down a path that felt inevitable. I was the one person who tried to steer her away from all that. But in the end, her actions lined up exactly with the life she was already on track for. And now she's stuck with it. I won't be there to help her come back. And while I don't want to ever see her again, I still have enough compassion to hope she finds someone who'll care for her, someone who's willing to trust the word of a cheater. As for me, I'll be taking time off from long-term dating. But I do believe that someday, the right person will come along, someone who values what I bring and the love I have to give. Well, folks, that's all. Thank you all for listening. Please like, comment, and share the video if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you will be notified when we upload the next video. Take care.